Welcome to Market Matters. I'm Nadia Hassan together with Charlotte Chong. It's a very special day. It's the 11th of November, 1-1. So we start off our little Market Matters today for the fact is it's Chinese Singles Day, which is actually the biggest shopping day in in the world. Apparently, it looks compared to like Americans' Black Friday, which is already massive.
Ironically, it doesn't look like, single days. It's a double one. It looks like two couples walking down the street.
Well, apparently, in my interpretation of it, even if you're, alone, you can always buy stuff to make yourself feel happier, and that's what happened. Which one of the stats did you like more? I like the fact that USD 1 billion was spent in the first 8 minutes. What was your favorite stat?
Mine was it passed 57.1 billion yuan before midday. How can you imagine?
No, I can't even imagine
how
much that the amount is. And the fact is, apparently, they say they bought all baby products and they bought like Nike and Levi's. But back home, going back to KLCI, sorry, we were too excited by shopping, and I'm not stereotyping here. The fact is, KLCI actually dropped about 1.23% to 1,665.32 points. There was a few reasons for this. I think China, even though it had its great shopping day, where Jack Ma trotted out Daniel Craig to bring to the event, they actually had some industrial numbers that were not great.
Yeah, about 5.6% in October. Now, total volume for KLCI is 2.34 billion and value at 2.3 billion ringgit. Malaysia, when we look at KLCI, the local market, Malaysian palm oil stocks and banking shares actually took a hit today. Now, among the top losers, we saw KLK, Genting Plantations, Hong Leong and Public Bank. Now, what happened was MPOB actually came out with a report saying that palm oil inventory up 7.29%.
We will talk about that actually in a minute. But the big news that we're looking at right now, Petronas has actually announced its results. And here we go. 91% down on their bottom line. 15.5 billion was what 1 billion was what they made last time. Now they made 1.35 billion. Profit after tax to this point is 57% lower than it compares to last year. I mean, it's a huge thing.
So actually, I don't know. I am just wondering if the government will actually revise budget again, looking at 15.1 billion to 1.35 billion ringgit.
Exactly. So the dividends that they get apparently is going to go from 26 billion to 16 billion. How is this going to affect confidence? How are we going to see the market tomorrow morning? And looking sort of like regionally, I think these are questions we'll pause over, but looking regionally as well, Shanghai Composite Index up 0.27%. My interpretation was they were all watching Daniel Craig and shopping. Nikkei, little changed from 0.1%, but it was a tough day for Wall Street. That's why I think the handover was a little bit jarring. Moving on actually to our hot stock of the day, we are looking at Ge-Shen, depending on tomato, which one you like.
So this company actually manufacture, precision plastic products. They are in automotive products as well. Third Q profits up 2,400%.
And how did that drive share price? The fact is, share price went up 18.49% to 1 ringgit 73. And these guys, like you said, 2,400 odd percent, I think was the bottom line. 82.6% was top line. But of course, none of this was organic, was it?
Now, they actually came out with a report saying that contribution are from a newly acquired subsidiary called Polyplus Bhd.
Inorganic.
Now, TA came out with a report when they bought over this plastic injection molding components manufacturer. They say with the exposure of Polyplus Bhd, it actually gave them more customer base. It actually gave them more products offering as well to be more appealing to overseas market.
Exactly. So I think that's the magic word. I see it glimmering over them in a gigantic banner. Overseas export market. USD dollar against the ringgit. Of course, we don't have to repeat to you how bad it's been. Abysmally bad it has been. So the fact is, if you export somewhere else, wow, I think you're just gold. But these guys have another product exercise. I think there are a couple of chans. They're looking at taking a majority stake in this company after the Polyplus, of course.
Now, this company is actually at the same time actually having a takeover offer from this company called Pelita Niagama Sdn Bhd. And Pelita Niagama Sdn Bhd is actually owned by Chan Chung Kong. And at the same time, Chan Chung Kong was actually redesignated as joint managing director in this company.
So, okay, we joke a lot about this show about corporate Jesus, whether or not when somebody comes in, if it's just a name, will they change the fate? These guys, of course, after the whole Polyplus, they seem to be asserting themselves. They don't want to take the company private. They still want it there. I'm more curious to see how they're going to build and grow this company because of the fact is that there is a depreciation mix. We have to remember that. Higher minimum wage, of course, is going to increase operating costs.
Now, Politika Newcomers, they are intent to maintain the listing status of Ge-Shen.
Like I said, we loved it so much, we said it to you twice. But the fact is, the reason why it matters is that Ge-Shen up today in terms of the net profit, 2,400%. Wow, if you can give me those good odds, you know, I'd be a bookie. But the fact is, they did it because they had the acquisition of Polyplus, and they're also seeing a bit of management change as well. But moving on, of course, to our stock with momentum, MWE Holdings Bhd. If you actually type it into Google, the autocorrect is MEW, but yes, MWE Bhd. And pegged as negative momentum by the Edge Research. I was actually up about 2% during the day, but closed flat at 1 ringgit 36. So what did they do?
Now, just a little bit background of this company. They manufacture garments for customers like Nike, Lacoste, Oshkosh, and Izod.
Yeah, did your mom ever buy you Oshkosh?
No, but Nike, yes.
Yeah,
never
Oshkosh. As a kid, yeah, because you know they're very, very expensive. But
too expensive.
But following from the story talking about Ge-Shen, the reason why these guys, I suppose, we don't have any comparative numbers for their earnings. If you can look at the chart, because they changed their financial year. But of course, it's this whole thing. They themselves, the management does think that because the USD is strengthening, it's good for them. Because like you said, Nike, Lacoste, Oshkosh, and never mind. I suppose we were just mentioning earlier that Nike was one of the main things that I bought. I suppose that's going to be one good thing for them.
Now, this company is actually eyeing about $40 million revenue from textile business in the next financial year. But we also had this little discussion before we came into the studio, and we know that this company, other than textile business, it is doing property, telecommunication products, and plantation sector. Yeah,
so that's the thing, right? We talk about jack of all trades. I mean, diversify is always a good thing. But what are you diversifying into? And, if you're looking at cutting costs or streamlining your business, they already said that they're going to plow something like, how much? $6 million into Vietnam for this plan,
yes,
to just boost the number of belts that they're having to just sort of keep up with capacity. But at the same time, where do you plow your money? If you have three things, do you put it into property, which might be stable, but considering the market is, telecommunications, which is a big question mark. So I don't know. This part is a bit iffy for me. I don't know. What about you?
They have to understand. They have to understand into focusing on probably one or two segments, but not too many.
But you cannot tell them not to diversify.
Exactly, unless they are good in almost everything. Now, when we look at percentage-wise, textile segment contributes about 61% to the group's revenue. Telecommunications gave about 24% to the group.
Well, okay, so we would love to talk about this a bit more, but just to bring it all home, the fact is, MWE pegged as negative momentum by the Edge Research. These guys are big into textile, 61%. They're going to be beneficiaries of that USD export market thing that we talked about earlier. However, they're into a lot of stuff, so it makes you wonder whether or not, when they actually come to focusing their concentration and their resources, whether they'll focus it on the right thing.